All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be looking at the member portal for the new Serra International membership profile here in just a minute. Before I get started, I want to let everyone know we've got all of the microphones muted for the meeting. If you have questions throughout, go ahead and use the chat function in Zoom to send those questions. And if we've got time towards the end, we'll have a few minutes of a bit of a Q&A. There will also be a recording of this meeting, so I'll be sharing that and we'll have access to the recording of this meeting as well as some documentation and other videos for you to review. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the kind of membership profile functions that we're going to have in the Serra International website. We'll be going through the membership process. We'll be talking about how to update your membership profile and access things like how to see other clubs and how to update documents and your profile and look at other people's profiles as well. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Right now, I'm on the serrainternational.org landing page. If we want to go ahead and get started on looking at our membership portal, the button we'll click on this page is the membership login button. When you click on the member login button at the top of the Serra International website, it's going to take you to the membership portal. It's going to look very similar, but this is now the membership portal and will be presented with the login page. You'll notice we have a very small menu of options here. Once we finish logging in, we will actually get more access because we have not quite finished logging into the website just yet. Before we log in, the options we see are the options to explore some of our Serra information. We can go take a look at our event calendar right away if we wanted to before we've even logged in. And there's also links to some of our other Serra International websites. If we're going to log in, all we need to do is plug in our username and password, and that should have been sent to you. So you should have access to get into your profile already. If you, for some reason, don't have your username and password, or if you've forgotten it, before you log in, there is an option to hit forgot my password right here. If you choose that, all you have to do is fill in your email address and first name, and it will email you it'll email you your username and a temporary password for you to log in with. And then you can just come back to the screen and log in. For today, I'm going to use a test account for us to preview some of the membership controls. So my login is going to be test member and then my password that I'll enter. When you're logging in, you have the option to have the computer remember you. So if you check this remember me on this computer button, whenever you get to the login page, it'll just skip right past it and it'll remember your username and password for you so you don't have to worry about it. I personally like to just keep tabs on my own username and password, so I leave it unchecked, but that's just a personal preference. Once we click login, it'll take us to the landing page for the membership portal, and you can tell if you're logged in or not, because if we look in the top right corner over here, we will see our name. So for me, I've entered my name as Test is my first name and Member is my last name, so it just reads Test Member. But if you would see your own name there, so if you have John Smith up in the corner, that'll be how you know you've logged in. If you don't see a name, if instead you see Member Login, the button over here, that just means we have not logged in yet. If we have logged in, you'll also notice that the menu has changed a little bit. So once we finish logging into the website, we get access to the full member menu that we'll see up in this upper right-hand corner. Just to go through some of the membership options that we'll see, and we'll be diving deeper into some of these in a few minutes. First in our menu, we have the Files and Photos page where we can take a look at our document library. This is going to be where we can find all of our membership resources and documents that have been shared from our admins and our club administrators. Those people will be able to put documents there for us to upload. And we'll also talk about, on occasion, there will be some folders in the document library that any member can upload to, but that is controlled by our administrative team. We also have access to our photo albums where you can go and look at pictures from events and things like that. We'll be taking a look at our photo albums in a few minutes as well. One step over, we have our calendar. This is where we can go and take a look at our events calendar. We can sign up for events and see what events are upcoming down the road for the organization. We've got that same link as we saw before. We've got the option to look at all of our Serra websites. So these are all the different pages and websites that you can visit to get more information about Serra International. And then we've got our members only menu right here. This is going to only be available to members. We've got things like the club finder where you can go and find other clubs and see information about them. We've got our membership directory where we can go and take a look at other members. We can also search for those members by what club they're in. We'll be taking a look at that. And there's an option to send an email. Before we go into some of the more detailed controls, the first thing I want to take a look at is how to maintain our own information and our own profile. So if we wanted to get to our own information, what we would do is we click on our name up here. Again, my name for this instance is test member. When I hover over my name, I see a few options. I'll see if I have a profile picture, I would see that there. I'll go over how to update your profile picture. You'll see your name and a quick summary of your information. In my example here, I have my email address listed. And then we see a couple options. We'll see the option to go to our profile. We'll have the option to log in as a different user. So if you are, say, a few people share the same computer, you might need to log out and log in as a different person. We also have the option to just log out. What we're looking for today is to go to the profile option. So this first option we'll see is our profile. And if we click on that, it's going to take us to our member profile. So this is the profile page. This is where all of our personal information is going to show up. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. On this page, we'll see a number of things. We'll see these collection of boxes with information in them. When we see the membership summary box, we'll see some just quick info about our membership. So we can see here, test member was created today. We can see our member number. We can see our current expiration date. We can see the last time we logged in. We'll also see our current email address. And we can see, here's my little fake email address that I created for today's example. An important thing I like to point out, if you ever land on this page and you get a little lost, say we didn't get a chance to watch today's video in entirety, or it's been a couple months and you forgot something, there's a quick little link in the upper right-hand section of this first membership summary box that takes us to our tutorial video. Clicking on that will take you to the Club Express YouTube channel, and it'll take you straight to a video about how to maintain your own profile. It's a shorter video in a little bit less detail than we'll be getting into today, but it should give you a lot of tips and tricks on how to kind of maintain your own profile. Additionally, in the top right corner, we have this little question mark icon, and this is going to let us kind of get access to our help system. So we can see information like show me help topics on this page and other videos. So like updating your membership profile, that's another video link that will take us to the YouTube channel for Club Express to get some tutorial videos on how to manage your profile. This question mark you will see all over certain pages of Club Express, and depending on what page you're on, you will see different information. So if we're on, say, the photo albums page, clicking on the question mark on the photo albums page will take you to the help information for photo albums. So this will kind of go with you wherever you are on the website. Whatever page you're on, you can use that question mark to get information about that page. Below our membership summary, we have a collection of boxes, and I'm just going to kind of go left to right, top to bottom through these. The first option we get is our basic member information. This is where all of our general information is stored, and we can go in there and we can modify it and maintain it ourselves. So if we click into the basic member information page, we'll get presented with a lot of our basic info for this member. So we've got things like our name. We can include things like our, you could say, colonel or father if we wanted to, whatever salutation we enter. We can also type in our own. We can enter information like our birthday. These are all just general information points. We'll have information like our primary address, and we can actually apply this in other places that I'll show you in a few minutes, but this is just some general basic info about your membership. It's also important to keep in mind that whenever you're filling in your basic info, email address is an optional field, but I always highly recommend that you put a valid email address in there because that is how we would get back into our profile if we were to lose or forget our username and password. That is a very crucial field that we want to make sure is filled in. We've got other information about our work information and our emergency contact info. This is all just kind of the basic boilerplate information that Club Express recommends for people to fill in. You'll note on Club Express, a lot of times you'll see sections that have these little red dots next to them. If it has this red dot, that lets you know that is a required field. So in this example, on our basic info page, our address information is required. But things like a secondary address, there is no red dot next to those options, so that's not a required field. But for example, our phone number is a required field, but a fax number is optional. So you can always tell what is optional and what is required by seeing that little red dot to the right-hand side of it. If we've made any changes and we want to save them, we want to make sure we come down to the bottom of the page and hit save. And then we've got the option for additional member data. So to the right of that, we have additional member data. This is something that Club Express uses for more organization specific data. So again, basic member information is just that, it's basic. Whereas additional member data, this is more specific information that Serra International specifically is requesting. So we can go take a look at that, and it's going to be laid out very similarly, just questions and answers that we can fill in. But these are things that are specific to Serra International. So things like your church parish, you can enter comments about the questions that you're answering. We can fill in a native language, and we can also fill in what other languages we might have. Um, if other questions are added as a part of your membership, you will see those questions show up here over time. So always make sure, whenever maybe annually or quarterly, you're updating your membership information, or if you've moved or something like that, you might want to check in on the additional member data page and make sure that all of your information here is also up to date. The next page, and this is one that I really like to spend a lot of time on, is our member directory page. So the standard member directory, this is our member profile that's going to be used anywhere that the membership profile is pulled. This doesn't just apply to the membership directory. It's important to note that your standard member directory, this might get used in places like on the forums if you set those up, or in the committees pages. So if you hold a position on a committee, you might the information here might show up on that page as well. So this is just kind of your profile and links to it therein. So if we click on the standard member directory page, we'll get presented with this option. And we have a slightly more pared down view of what we have on our basic info page. We can put in general information like our birthday. We can also upload a picture and our banner image for our little profile as well. So if we wanted to upload, say, a profile picture, we can come in here and I'm just going to select this profile picture. We can upload any image we want. We can also select a banner image. We can choose if we want to use just a stock banner image as a little background. We have some, Club Express has some preloaded banner images, or we can upload our own. And this is just kind of to give your profile some flavor. So I can come in here and I can add this little sky view and save. And once I save that, you'll see there's my little banner image. And then the last thing we have on our profile page is our biography, where we can fill in just some general information about ourselves. You'll notice we have a lot of font controls here as well, so you can do some interesting things like change the color or size of your text. You can indent text if you wanted to. You've got bulleted lists that you can create. So a lot of these are fairly simple font controls. I do like to point out that here you can also put in things like links and buttons. So if you wanted to add a link to, say, your Facebook page or something like that, we could come in here and we could use this little link icon that we have. And this will give us our little build a link tool. And so if I wanted to link to, say, another social media platform, I have the option to build a link and I can choose what type of link this is. In most cases, the type of link you want to build is an external page. And we can just put in the URL we want to link to. So I'll just use Google as an example because it's always a web page that's going to work for me. Just plug in the address of whatever website we want it to point to. And then we can, for our link type, for a basic link, we can choose either text or button. Here, I'll just leave this one as text and I'll point it to just Google. I don't have to have the link text match the external link exactly. So this is what I plug into my URL bar up here. I want that to be specific. But in the link text, this is just what our link is going to show up as. I don't have to have the .com or anything like that if I wanted to. And I could even come in here and capitalize some stuff if I wanted. Once I've got my link saved, the rest of this is optional. Those are just the two crucial points. We need to fill in where the link is going and what it looks like. We can save that option. And now we'll see we have a little link to Google. I can come in here and say, hey, I want this to be 20-point font as well. Once we've saved that, we can hit save here. And this is also going to show up on our biography page. So that's our membership directory. The next option over we have is our username and password. This is simply just that. It's a way for you to update your username and password. So if you need to, if you're, someone that likes to update your passwords on websites every quarter or something like that, or if you need to change your username, you can come in here and do that. And it just simply presents you with an option to enter a new username and a password. Keep in mind, if someone is already using that username, it will not let you change it to that. And if you're changing things on this page, you can't reuse the same password again. So if we have our password set to, ABC123, we would have to change that password next time as well. Moving on, we have the rest of these boxes down below. You'll notice the boxes below here are not just clickable boxes. These are boxes with multiple links inside of them. I'm not going to touch every option here because some of these are more frequently used than others. One I will definitely point out is our clubs and additional members page. So I'm keeping an eye on the chat. I know there's been a couple questions about this. This is where you would go to maintain what club you're in and see what club you've added. As a note, whenever you are joining or renewing your membership in Serra International, what club you belong to is a required field. So that information should already be in your profile. If we go to this page, we can see what club we currently belong to, and we can also see our additional members. So if you have a spouse or a partner connected to your membership, this is where you can come to add their profile and add them as a member as well. So we can see what club we're a part of. This will be also represented in our membership directory automatically, so you don't need to add that manually. And for our secondary members, if I was going to add a spouse for my test member here, all I would need to do to add that extra member is hit this add button right here. When I click on add, I'll get presented with a screen similar to that basic information screen we were just looking at. I need to fill in things like our relationship to the person. So I can say our relationship is spouse. I can enter a salutation if I wanted to, but for first name, I'll say Debbie member. Most of these fields are optional. We do have to fill in address info, just like on our own profile. You'll notice there are some places where we can save some time. So if we're filling in an additional member, chances are we might share an address. So we can actually copy our address information from our own profile. If we just hit click here, it'll automatically fill in the address that I have in my own profile. So I entered 123 Church Street in Chicago. It just copies from my profile to the member that I'm adding because me and my spouse here share the same address. I do have to enter a phone number, so I'll just enter a random phone number there. One too many digits. I can put in my gender information, and then there's also an option to enter contact information. And once again, we have the option to copy from our profile. So if we have the same emergency contact, I can copy that as well. And we'll see here, my emergency contact for test member is Debbie. So if I wanted to change that to test, all I need to do here is change the first name. But the rest of the information, we share an email address, maybe they share a phone number. The rest of the information might still be accurate. We can save that option. And now we have Debbie member as a secondary profile. We can see information like additional data. We can also click the edit button to update that information if we need to change something. We can also check the additional member data, and this is that additional information that we saw earlier. This is that same information, but now we're answering it for our additional member, in this case, Debbie. We can also remove a secondary member if we need to by clicking that little remove button. If we save the changes to this page, if we ever needed to update that information, say add or remove an additional member, you can do that as well. You don't have to, you're not locked into that once you've added them. We can always go back to additional member under more member options here, and we can come back in here and remove that. Now that we've added that member and saved the page, we also have the option to reset a password. So if Debbie is trying to log in and has forgotten her password, we can hit reset password to send the email to Debbie to reset her password right from here. Some people are following along. I'll answer a question real quick. Someone said that they don't have the club additional member option show up. There are different membership types. So just to pop back to our membership summary up here, we have the type member. There is a chance that the membership type that you're in does not allow for club selection or additional member selection. If that's the case, you could just reach out, shoot an email to your administrators. I'll be showing you how to contact your administrators in just a minute. So I would get in contact with them and say, hey, my membership isn't allowing for additional members, and then they can update the system to make sure that it allows for that. Moving over to the history section, that's the rest of these I'm not going to focus in on today because they're either self-explanatory or not used very often. If we jump over to our histories, I want to show two important places on our history section. Transaction history and payment history. These are both very important tools to be familiar with. So these are going to show all of the transactions. If you make any purchases or anything like that, or if your website is having any sort of like paid events, all of that information is going to show up on the website. If there's no financial transactions between yourself and the website, then nothing's going to show up here. But for example, even if it's something that does not incur a charge, so for example, test member signed up today, and we can see there was a sign up transaction. Even though it was $0, we can see the history of the actions I've taken on the website. There's also another place I like to point out is the event history section. This is where we can go and look at what events we have signed up for. This is also one of a couple places we could go if we signed up for an event and then for some reason we needed to cancel that registration, we weren't able to make it. You could go to the event history page, and this is one of the places where if the event is configured to allow cancellation, you could cancel your registration for that event on this page. Finally, one thing I'll point out on our membership page before we move on to some of our other controls is our forum controls. So once forums are set up for your website, this is where you can go and control your forum profile. Forum general preferences is primarily the main page you'll visit. And this is where you can go and do things like set up how you interact with forums. You can set a specific email address you use for forums. You can also do things like set subscriptions. You can have it send messages to you. So if you receive a reply on a forum, you can have it email you so you get a little notification about someone replying to you on the forum. You can also do things like set a separate profile picture. So if you wanted one profile picture for your biography page, you could have it that way, but have a different picture for your interaction on the forum page. Most of these settings are self-explanatory. They kind of have little descriptions below them to tell you what that setting would do. But this is a page that if you're very active on the forum, you might want to come and customize your own interaction on the forum on this page. So that's it for our member profile. I'm not going to spend too much longer here. The rest of the settings on this are usually fairly easy to comprehend. And if you have any questions, again, you can always go watch this tutorial video. You can watch the recording of this webinar, or you can find more information up here in the little question mark. And if you either click on it or click on help topic for this page, it'll just take you to the Club Express help system. And here's more information about your own profile. So you can see things like how to renew your membership, how to handle if your email address is bad, how to manage your membership directory. There's a lot of little articles in the help system about how to manage your profile. All right, so let's move on to our membership directory. So we've already gone over how we can manage our own profile in the member directory. Let's talk for a quick second about how to manage our directory or how to see other people's directory listings. If we go up to our menu up here, we'll see the members option. I need to zoom out a little bit. I'm too far zoomed in. There we go. You'll see one of the options under the member section on the menu is the membership directory. Once we go to the membership directory, this is the page we'll see. It's a pretty simple directory. We can search for specific text if we have a name in mind. One thing that a lot of people ask for is how do I search for people, in the same club as yourself? So you'll have the option here that says club. This is one of the search criteria. If we leave everything blank when we arrive, all we have to do to see everyone in the directory is just hit search. And this will show us all of the directory listings on the website. If we wanted to see more information about a member, we can come up here and we can search for, let's say, search for member. And there's my test member. There's my profile. There's also Debbie member. That's my secondary that I added. We can click on the profile to get the information. And this is what that profile is going to look like. It'll give us our little background image. So that's where that gets used. Our profile picture and information about ourselves, including our little biography. And there's that Google link we added earlier. So this is where we can come in and we can add and control information about ourselves or look at information about other members. So we've spoken about finding members in a club. Let's now take a look at the club finder itself. So in this same member dropdown that we have over here, there's another option called the club finder. When we click on club finder, we're presented with a little map of the US, and we can say, if I want to find the Chicago chapter, I can click on Illinois over here, and it'll show you all of the clubs that are in Illinois. And we can do that for any of the states in the US. If there's a club outside the US that we want to find, there's a button over here that says clubs outside USA, and we can get a list of all of the non-US clubs. And there's also an option to view the entire organization chart. It's not quite as clean as the map, but if we click view org chart, it'll give us the entire organization chart for all of the clubs in Serra International. We can see Serra International at the top up here, and then each of the country organizations. If we're looking for something in the US, we can break it down this way and search by different regions that way. If we go back to view map, we get presented again with the map view. Once we select a chapter that we're looking for, so let's again use the Chicago chapter as an example. If we click on Chicago here, we're presented with information about that club. So we'll see the general location, Chicago, Illinois, 60606. We'll see information about who we'll get information that this club has uploaded. In this case, Chicago just has two things listed. It has the members info, and that will take us to our directory pre-selected on Chicago members. So if I click that members option, it takes us to our membership directory and it's searching for Club Chicago. There's also an option to go look at the event calendar, and this will take us to the Serra International calendar, but it's only going to filter on our events that this chapter is hosting. So if we click on the events calendar for Chicago, it'll take us to our calendar, but it's just showing us the Chicago events. Right now, the Chicago chapter doesn't have any other events. If we wanted to search for a different chapter's events, we could either go back to the club finder, or right from our events page, we can go on this little show search option, and we'll see that we're currently showing events for Chicago. We can change that to any other. So we can say, show me all of the Serra International events. And you'll see some things when I hit search show up. Here's some available events that are for all of the chapters, because I've said, show me events for Serra International, and that will capture everything below it as well. So that's our chapter finder. That's how we get information about each chapter. We also have the option for send an email in the member section. So when we click on this, it's going to take us to our contact page. It'll give us generic information about Serra International. But if we want to send an email, we'll see in the send us an email section, we'll have an option to enter our name. We have to enter an email address. It should pre-fill the email address from your profile. So for example, for this test member I set up, my email address is debandtestmember. So that's the spouse and my own test member account at gmail.com. If you want to send it from a different address, you can change that, but it'll pre-fill the address from your own member profile. The send to option here is going to be general information. That general information email will go to just the general info email for Serra International. You can also choose, as they fill out more organization contacts. For example, we have John Liston, the executive director for Serra International. We can choose to send to that as well. So if you want to send something straight to John instead, we can switch to that. We can then fill in a simple subject and message and send that email, and it will just send off an email to that organization or to that person. So now let's go take a look back at the documents and files and photos page. So if we go to the files and photos drop down here, we'll see document library and photo albums. I want to take a look at these two options. I know we briefly talked about the event calendar. I'm going to circle back to that because that's probably where we'll spend the latter portion of our training today. But if we head to files and photos, we have two options here. We have the document library and photo albums. If we head into the document library first, this will take us to show us where all of our files are stored. Once we're here, you will see a collection of folders that are available to you. We have things like our public folders and our member folders. You'll see that all these folders have a little 0 next to them. That just shows you how many files are in that particular folder. Something that some people don't always grasp is that if you see this little folder icon here, that means we can click on that to drop it down, and we'll see the rest of the folders contained inside that folder. So just like a folder on a Windows computer or folders in a filing cabinet, we can put files or folders inside of folders inside of folders. So for example, we have some public folders here. And for our USA Council, we have 3 documents that we're able to look at. We can also click on the USA Council to see other folders that are available inside that. So you can see each district has their own folder. And we can see in the USA Council, we have 3 files in here. And there are those 3 files that we can either click the green button to download, or we can click on the name or icon for the file to get more information. So we can see the information about the file and then repeat it again as that green download icon. You'll always have access to all of the public folders. And if you're a logged in member, you'll also have access to all of the public member folders as well. So you can see we've got our public folders here. There are also a collection of member folders. So they've got the little M, meaning member folders. And these are folders that are only available to members, whereas the public folders might be available to non-members as well. There is a case, so we have a test folder here that has been set up ahead of time to show you there is an option for certain folders to allow the public or to allow members to upload their own documents. So if you have a document that you think belongs in a certain folder, if the folder has been configured to allow for upload, you can click on that folder and you might see an option on the right-hand side that says upload, and this would let us upload a document of our own to that folder. And you'll see this little upload page where we can control the title, we can set a description for it, and then we can just hit select document to upload a document to that folder. There is a chance that certain folders might not allow for non-admin members to upload. So if we go and click on a different folder, let's say our US districts folder or the public folder here does not have that upload option, that means this folder just does not allow for members to upload. You'd have to be a website administrator in order to upload documents there. So that's the document library. You can just go and search through the different folders to find information. You have the option in the kind of top section up here to collapse or expand all folders to get an entire view of every folder, even if it's inside another folder. You also have the option to search. So there's a little search field where you can come and you can search for specific documents. So if you know the name of a document you're looking for, but you're not finding it, you can use this little search function to go and find that document. For photo albums, if we go up to our files and photos again, we're going to switch over to the photo albums module. And this is just a simple photo viewer. If any albums are added by your club administrators or website administrators, those photo albums will show up here, and we can go and we can just click on any of these albums to look at pictures that have been uploaded. So we can see there are options to browse through some of the pictures that have been uploaded for our members to see on the website. As a note, there is an option. It's not currently enabled, but it might be enabled in the future. There is a potential option to allow for members to upload their own photo albums. If that option is turned on at some point, you would find the option to upload a photo album, not on the photo albums page, but in your own profile. So once that's turned on, if you wanted to add a profile of a photo album of your own, you would find that by clicking on your name up here and going back to your profile. And eventually that will have an option over here on the right-hand side. There'll be a photo albums option for you to manage your own photo albums. Right now, that option hasn't been turned on, so there's not a way for non-administrator members to create their own photo albums. But again, that may be an option in the future. So now that we've talked about the document library and photo albums, we kind of touched on this briefly, but let's go back and talk about the event calendar and how to kind of register for and maintain our events. So if we go click on the calendar, it'll show us our calendar page. We've got the same page we were looking at before. If we want to go take a look at an event, all we have to do is click on it. So we can go and take a look at this Great Lakes region event. We can see information about the event. If there is a fee, we can see details about it. We'll also see if there's any added information, so we can scroll down and see pictures and info about this upcoming event. And if we wanted to sign up for this event, there is a button on the right-hand side that says register now, and that will start the registration process. There's also an option that says add to my calendar. So I saw a question earlier that was asking if there's an option to integrate with Google Calendar. The calendar itself, so this page right here, this does not integrate with Google Calendar. So there's not a way to create a Google event and add it to this calendar or vice versa. But let's kind of take a look at some of our questions that we have here. Let's see. So there were questions. I think I might have answered this one. Is there a way for you to indicate your club? In the membership profile, The place to enter your club is clubs and additional members right here. Right now, the way the website is configured, once you have selected your club, you are in that club until you either renew your membership or uh, uh, were to kind of let your membership expire. Whenever you're renewing your membership, you're able to reset what club you belong to. If you need to change what club you belong to in the middle of the year before you renew your membership, that would be something you'd have to get in contact with either your club administrator or a website administrator. That would be a great use of the send an email option up here. So if you need to change the club that you are assigned to, you could go over here and send an email to the general information email address, and they could help you get that changed. There were some questions about how it works on a mobile device. So for the administrative side of the Club Express platform, we usually recommend using a desktop profile or a desktop device. But for the membership portion, so everything we've looked at today, we have tried to build it to be very inclusive for mobile phones as well. So most of the navigation of what I've talked about should work just fine for a mobile phone. The only thing that might be slightly different is when you're looking at it on a mobile phone, the menu will probably be at the bottom of your web page. But the rest of the settings should all work just how we showed. Your profile option should also be at the bottom of the web page. So you'll see it at the bottom of the screen instead of the top, but everything else should be laid out pretty much the same. Someone asked, do we have the ability to print lists of all members in a chapter? As a non-administrator, that information isn't currently available to a non-admin member. If you wanted to get a list, it's just this directory option right now is how you would find who is in your chapter. If you wanted a printout, that would be something that you'd have to get in contact with a club administrator. That would be something that also a club administrator could keep updated in their document library. So club administrators do have access to print out lists of members, and they could just simply add it to their own page. So, like for example, our St. Louis club admin may want to put a roster of members in their document library. So that could be one way to manage that. There are a lot of questions about how to maintain your chaplain as a member if they don't pay dues or something like that. That would be something you'd have to work with your club administrator. We'll be doing a training specifically for our club administrators later. Today we're focusing on just the membership controls and how standard members access the site. So if you have questions about how club administrators can manage the site and manage their chaplains and things like that, make sure to tune in for that training session. But we'll be covering that a little bit later. So we've had I see a couple questions about how to input officers. Again, that's going to be something that we'll be handling in our club admin session. Someone asked, is anyone else able to go in and edit another member's profile? No one can edit your profile other than you and your club administrator. So if you are a club administrator or a website administrator, you are technically able to edit other people's information, but there's not a way for just other random members to go and change your information. Only you can update that information, unless an administrator were to step in and change something for you. There's a lot of administrator questions. If someone asked, how do they tell if they are an administrator or not? If you are a website administrator, you would see it up in the top right hand corner over here. If you're an administrator, you'll see the option for what's called the control panel and your favorites icon. So if you only see your name up here and you don't see something called control panel, then you're not currently logged in as an administrator. Other questions about when we're going to hold the admin training. So the admin training will be mid to late April. So it'll be at least a few weeks. We'll get an invitation sent out about that later on. All right, I think we're caught up on most of the questions. Dawn, are there any questions that you can think of that I should cover in this training as well?
No, I was just trying to answer a few myself. Somebody asked about how uh, to become an administrator for the club, and the way to do that is to contact the office in Chicago. and let them know that someone wants to be administrator for the club. Somebody else asked how many administrators, and the club can have more than one administrator.
Yeah,
So
there's not
anybody
a
in the club who's willing to do that, just contact the office in Chicago, and Barbara is the one who will be handling that, or Geo if Barbara's not available.
yeah, there's not a limit on the Club Express side for how many administrators a club can have. You do have to be a member of that club to administrate that club, but other than that, there shouldn't be a limit.
I think you've covered pretty much everything, Devin,
Yes.
that we wanted to cover today. I know there'll be folks who'll have a lot of questions.
Hmm.
Feel free to contact me or Barbara in the office if you have questions about anything that you didn't understand today.
Um, yeah, there's a lot of questions, and I think we'll be covering a lot of the questions that people have in our club admin section. There is a question: are you able to send emails to your entire club membership? For standard members, for non-admin members, the only way you could send an email to other club members would be to use the membership directory to go set that up. But otherwise, there's not a way to send an email to all club members unless you are a club administrator. We'll be going over the option for club administrators to send emails to their list of members.
Yeah, one thing that came up today was when looking at the member's profile, there was a section in there that said what club the member is in. And for Serra International, the memberships don't expire. Members join at the local club level, and so when a member joins, then the administrator for the club can add them to the club, or a top level administrator can add them to the club. An important thing to know is that if a member uh, wants to change a club, for example, we had a member recently who changed from my club in the Dallas Diocese to a different club in the Dallas Diocese, then that's something, again, that an administrator can do, is to remove the person from one club and add them to another club. Another thing that we can do, and we do have some members who belong to more than one club, so a member can belong to more than one club. And if that's the case, we don't need to create a separate member profile or a separate login for that person. We just add the second club. And so the person will show up on the roster for both clubs.
Right. And I think that's another action that would need to be taken by an administrator for you to belong to multiple clubs. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll get information about when the club admin training session will be taking place here in a few days.
And we can have a follow-up webinar if necessary.
I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much.